Good morning and welcome to Breakfast Extra. Today, I want to speak about something so ordinary yet so powerful. Something that shapes how nations respond to crisis, how families stay united, how workplaces function, and how trust is built or broken. That thing is communication. Communication isn't just talking. It is clear, honest, timely, and empathetic exchange of information. And when it breaks down, the consequences can be enormous. Take what happened in southern Katsina. Reports emerged of scores of worshippers abducted from multiple churches. Local leaders said over 160 people, men, women, and children, were taken during Sunday service in an attack that sent shockwaves through the community. But in the early days, official voices denied that any abduction had occurred. Eyewitness accounts were questioned. Evidence was demanded. Later, that position changed and information emerged confirming the incident. In the meantime, families and entire communities were left confused and anxious. To make matters even more disturbing, reports surfaced that the kidnappers were demanding the return of motorcycles allegedly taken or lost before they would release the captives, a demand that did not fit the narrative many expected and only fueled further uncertainty and speculation. Imagine being a relative in that situation, hearing one message that says nothing happened and another that says your loved ones are in danger. That gap, that silence, that contradiction doesn't just create anxiety, it deepens trauma. Now shift focus briefly to the international stage. Nigerians learned about major military action on Nigerian soil, not first from their own authorities, but from a foreign leader's social media post. In late December, U.S. President Donald Trump announced the U.S. forces had conducted strikes in northwest Nigeria against militant groups. For many Nigerians, that announcement, amplified by global media, was the first time they heard about it. It immediately raised questions. Who should speak first? Who should inform citizens? And how should information that affects national sovereignty be communicated? Now place all of that beside what's happening globally. This year at Davos, the World Economic Forum brought together leaders from government, business, civil society, and academia under the theme, A Spirit of Dialogue. The focus wasn't just economics, technology, or security, it was communication itself, dialogue, cooperation, rebuilding trust, and confronting a fragmented world. Why does that theme matter? Whether they're talking about global leaders or local communities, good communication is the foundation of trust. In a complex and contested world, dialogue is not optional. It is essential. And here's the lesson. Not everything needs to be recorded, broadcast, or sensationalized, but right information must be shared responsibly and promptly. So what's the common trend between global leaders calling for dialogue at Davos, the confusion surrounding the Kaduna abduction, and in a workplace environment? The answer is simple. Communication matters everywhere. Communication builds trust. When leaders respond quickly and truthfully, they inspire confidence. When they delay, deny, or obscure facts, they undermine it. When people are not informed, they ask questions, not because they want trouble, but because they want clarity, accountability, and partnership in decisions that affect their lives. That is not defiance. That is civic engagement. That is ownership. That is hope in action. Now, the good news, as always, across Nigeria and across the world, including conversations happening at Davos, there is growing recognition that trust has to be earned, not assumed. Leaders are beginning to talk more seriously about responsible communication, better information flow, meaningful dialogue. And that is where our hope lies, not in a perfect system, not in flawless motives, but in the simple fact that people still care enough to ask questions, seek truth, demand clarity, and choose conversation over silence. Because when a government, a company, a family, or community communicates clearly and honestly, we all win. Communication is the bridge between confusion and understanding, between fear and confidence, between isolation and unity. So let us commit in our homes, in our workplaces, and in our communities to communicate better, to listen more, to speak with purpose, and to build the trust that moves us forward. Thank you for listening, and good morning again. And of course, and with Mazino Appeal. Good morning, Mazino.
It's the end part for me. And of course, hi, Queen.
Am I communicating properly?
You are communicating properly, and I enjoyed that piece in communication. In fact, especially as you referred to Davos and the fact that communication is what's supposed to bind all world leaders together. But we see that breaking down now with the Trump speech and the Carney speech. When you get here, I want to tell you something about what I think about all of this. What a fantastic monologue.
Awesome. See you in a bit. Good
right.
morning.
Morning. Well, good morning again. I'm taking a cue from Queen. Good morning to you, Queen, once again.
Morning,
good morning to our viewers who have joined us again today. Of course, it's the duo this time. It's not like yesterday when it was just...
communication issues yesterday.
Yeah, communication issues, I guess, and that's why she chose such a monologue. But thank you for tuning in for a Sunday edition. And of course, Queen, fantastic monologue.
Thank you.
First, let me tell what we have coming on for today's show, and then we'll get on to our little conversation before the show. So this Sunday, we bring you a packed, issue-driven conversation that cuts across politics, migration, humanitarian crises, and global health. In our first hour, we pick up from where we stopped yesterday. It was a very interesting conversation yesterday. We had Imiaba join us, and he talked about certain allegations regarding Wike. I have to learn to slow down. Regarding Wike and his the alleged influence that he has on the impeachment process due to certain amounts that he wants reviewed inside of the substantial list, the substantial budget. So we're going to be having that conversation continuous today. Now, the River State, well, we're also going to talk about how the courts adjourned Governor Siminalayi Fubara's challenge to impeachment proceedings indefinitely, and what this means for governance, political instability, or rather stability, and the people of River State especially. And in our second hour, our attention shifts to opposition politics as a court ruling resets the Labour Party's leadership structure ahead of 2027. Also in that hour, our extra special takes a Japa look of things as we do the Japa Chronicles, learning how the U.S. visa ban is affecting African countries and raising fresh concerns about mobility, education, and work opportunities. While in our final hour, we confront a grim reality as aid cuts push Nigeria's northeast towards its worst hunger crises in decades before zooming out into Focus Africa, where we examine the global implication of United States existing or exiting the World Health Organization. All that inside of the show today. We also might be bringing you the papers. It's a problem when I try to speak slow, I start to miss my words. I'm so sorry. But in any case, communication, Davos, what it gave us. Tell you something about what I thought about the that forum, the World Trade Forum for this year. It was the first time I actually enjoyed such a forum. And it was the first time that the implications were bare to me, how Nigeria or Africa plays in. But that aside, communication, like you were talking about, is a very big instance. I saw two world leaders tell the same speech, but one told it differently. Trump was really being honest. Trump was really being, call it selfish, but he's a president of a country that needs to reign, that needs to show that it's a superpower. But it was the communication of what he was trying to say that really turned people off, whether you like it or not. There are other backing on the line issues or forms of detail, that might not be, I might not like, or I might not be a part of, don't want to be a part of or acquiesce to. But he was trying to make a statement. But his communication was very different from Mark Carney's that I thought was the most beautiful speech. Next to Osibajo, I think Mark Carney speaks the best. And if you've ever heard Professor Osibajo, former vice president of Nigeria, you would understand what I mean by communication. He is such an eloquent speaker. And it was beautiful. It's always beautiful to see him. And it was beautiful to see Davos, to see Mark Carney's speech at Davos.
Well, I think one of the things that was interesting for me at Davos is the Nigerian house at Davos right now. It was so fascinating to see that Nigeria is actually getting involved in these things. And again, like we talked about communication in the monologue, that's basically all we need. That is, so we're one communication away from war. We're one communication away from, hunger strikes and, pandemics and everything. It is the main thing for everything to happen. Like you said, not everybody might like the way Trump speaks, right? The President Donald Trump, but he's communicating the best way he can. Because again, he's the President of the United States, and he's, to the best of his knowledge, is doing what is best for the United States.
Might not like China, doesn't like China, but... So I'm wondering if we're doing the papers this morning. Do we start with the papers? Let's start with the papers, shall we? We're starting from... let's do the right way, like I always say, and then we'll be bringing you the dailies this morning. Stay with us.
We have this thing we do behind the scenes. It's just so funny. Well, that's our way of communicating.
Communication.
And now we'll start, with our dailies. And let's start with the Sunday Punch, shall we? And right at the center, it says 2027 ADC cracks as obedience demand presidential ticket.
There you go.
Obi or nothing mindset threatening party's unity chances.
Pause. We are here. I've been looking forward to this moment in the ADC, and it is finally here. It's the obedience speaking out finally and saying that we can't have somebody who was a big force to reckon with in 2023 have a back seat.
Right.
If you're going to have us inside of this coalition, you are going to put him forward. And this is the beginning. This is the true test of the ADC and whether it actually is going to stand the test of time.
And I think I like the fact that, the obedience followed him. So it's more of we're supporting this man.
Well, they're speaking out.
Wherever he is, we go with.
So the thing with the obedient movement is, I don't call it grassroots. I think it's a very interesting mix of people, intelligent people, educated people.
Agreed.
So I wouldn't say it's absolute grassroots.
No, not really.
In some ways, you can refer to it as grassroots, but the truth is, it's just a very different kind of grassroots.
True.
And they're very educated. So that them putting that push is showing you that there's backing behind this individual. Who else have you seen? I mean, the Atiku movement. Whatever you see from the articulates is. Oh, I'm going to start something.
Let's not. And they said we're only marketing our candidate. I love that statement. And the
marketing.
Besides its second term, Fulbara Kano governor battle uncertainty. And NCAA probes viral video of Air France passengers clash. Oh my. Then illegal Goya factory churches can detect fake anointing oil. Bishops tells NAFDA. Is anointing oil not olive oil? I'm just going to leave that. I don't.
No. It's the holy that is missing. The holiness is missing from the anointing
Let's
oil.
not start preaching. It's Sunday morning.
I will finish this on a Sunday morning. If the holy is missing, then NAFDAC has to be in on it, and they have to check where did the holy go.
I thought it was just Goya.
Who's holding back? Who's holding back on the holy?
So right under it says,
so
I married my husband within 4 months. 99-year-old.
99.
First female professor.
That's very interesting.
I'm so happy for you, ma'am. But social media is letting people have choices. Right at the top, Kudirat Abiola, Lagos under fire over botched murder case. And besides it, inside the rotten estate of Western Nigerians' last premier. Quite interesting.
Good one.
Wellness, not wealth, is the new power. Thames and Ira's star.
Alrighty now, so we move on to the Sunday Telegraph for a Sunday morning. Kano defections, I depend only on God. Who gives power? Governor Yusuf says 25 state lawmakers quit party, prepare for battle, things no longer at ease. Kwankwaso tells supporters NNPP chaired rules governor's exit. That on page 3, 5, and 30. Now 2027 will beg Atiku to support Obi Nwodu, says next election between citizens and APC. Ex-governor is our last chance to salvage Nigeria. ADC warns ex-VP, ex-LP candidates, supporters, former lawmakers endorse Tinubu. There you go. The race is on for 2027. At the top, Shetima. Nigeria firmly back on global economic frontline. Thank you very much. We have no choice. The eyes are on Africa, and Nigeria being a big influence in West Africa. We have to be forefront. Mobile banking, 7.5%. 7.5. Hang on a second. 7.5% VAT triggers double taxation outrage. Yes, that's still going on. Controversy trails enforcement of 50 naira stamp duty on transfers. Why are we still having it? Insecurity, terrorists kill 7 in Niger, and U.S.-Israel complicating war on terror. General Williams. At the bottom, Zulum approves upward review of CJTF vigilantes, volunteers allowances to encourage them, I guess, and Ajimobi Makinde should prepare for collision. We're ready for him. That on page 2.
Well, it looks like a lot of dailies have a lot of things as relating to 2027. But before we continue our dailies, let's go on a quick break. When we return, the dailies continue. Stay with us. Welcome back. Right before the break, we're doing the dailies, and now let's move on to the next paper, the Nation Sunday edition. Right at the center, it says rebattle, religious violence attack on Nigerian state. Says protection of Christians, Muslims, others non-negotiable. Nigeria, U.S. joined forces against insecurity. And below it says 7 feared killed as terrorists attack Niger community. The DHQ deploys intelligence assets to rescue Kaduna abductors. Wujale probe corruption allegations, stakeholders and urge Ogun government. And right below it says stop strike, FG pledges with Johisu. And right at the top, forum of former legislators endorses Tinubu for second term. An earlier rain, Nimet warns farmers against planting and drinking rainwater. Quite interesting. So let's move on to the next paper. We have the Sunday Independent. Terror financing Nigeria's dark underbelly. Quite interesting. That is a topic that a lot of people would really want to read about. Of course, below it says ADC slams opposition over divisive politics, calls for united front. Medical experts lament epidemic of negligence, says it's national health crisis, call for urgent national health care reforms. And right at the top, IMF draws flakes over FG's economic policies. Well, that is all we have for the dailies, and I feel like we're going on to my favorite segment. We're going and getting ready for the strips. Mazido.
Well, thank you very much, Queen, and you're always excited. I wonder why. Welcome. Let's do the strips, but I always like us to start with our montage because it gets me into the mood. So if the producers will, please play the montage for the strips, and then we can begin. Thank you very much.
While I dance.
Once again, welcome. This is News Central, and of course, Breakfast Extra, the strips. Let's do the strips this morning. We have an array of very interesting ones from through the week. Some of them I'm excited about, some of them I'm not too, Queen also joins me to talk about some of these editorial cartoons that we found exciting for the third week. It says a third week. Was it we're going into the fourth week, aren't we? Are we? It's the fourth week, yeah? Fourth week?
Yes.
Wow. January is over. 1/12 of the year has just passed by, and we were sleeping. But anyhow, let's do our very first strip for today, and it's going to be this one, Grand. Let's talk about this. Now, yes, we can now confirm that 177 Christian worshippers were abducted in Kaduna, but why the initial denial? This here is what's going to really tie into your monologue. If I were a screenwriter, or rather screwdriver seller, I would say they wanted to give the abductors time enough to escape. Let's talk about that communication bit that you were talking about inside of your monologue from earlier this morning, Queen. Now, the instance here is from Kaduna. We had it yesterday. We had Bagudu join us, and he talked about the instance. He did a report on it. Bagudu went into the community to investigate and verify the number of people that were abducted. He actually spoke to the real people. And because of Bagudu's reports, we had action on the side of the authorities who took back their statement saying no, that there wasn't anything that happened. Instead, this time they actually confirmed that there were abductions. Now, the problem was when they stepped into the community, Queen, they found out that there were no bullet holes, there were no burnt houses, there were no this and that. So they were like, nah, nothing happened here. The villagers must be wrong. And that was a wrong assumption they left with, and that was what they were working with. Communication, however, somewhere broke down. Where exactly? Was it on the part of the people or the part of the authorities for not investigating thoroughly? But there is also something very interesting here with this cartoon here. Asuko from Business Day is putting another angle to it and saying perhaps there was some sort of connivance. Nah, I don't want to be the one to actually stress it, but what do you think, Queen?
You know, the funniest part is when I was reading it, it says, yes, we can. Now confirmed, can. Christian Association of Nigeria were the ones who came out to say it was 177 worshippers before they said, oh, you're right.
Wait, what did you do there? Wow, Queen. Okay. I didn't see that. And that's a very, see, these things are multi-layered. And if that's beautiful. That's beautiful, Queen.
Thank you.
Let's take our next one. Let's see what other conspiracies you can come up with. This is a very sad one, Queen. I don't know if you heard last week about the family of 7 that were killed in Kano. I think Charanchi Estate, if I'm not mistaken. It was very sad. And I spoke to, I can't remember who I spoke with, the reporter over the week about this. What had happened? A lady and her 6 children were killed by her nephew, someone the family actually trusted. But beyond that, there is something else that actually happened. Did you know that, Queen, just in November 2025, this same person that has been arrested by the police, by the way, and also his accomplice, 2 of them, was also involved in the murder of somebody else, his own auntie, where the building she was living in was also burned. Now, this is very strange. That this had happened before and action had not been taken raises plenty of questions. Not just questions regarding the family, but questions regarding the authority. How can we become so complacent enough that someone would commit murder and he will go unchecked, unpunished, and still be allowed to roam inside the society? And this is the result of what we have now. The problem with Nigeria is this. We're so concerned about bandits, Boko Haram, IPSWAP, but there are still threats from within that we are not taking care of, especially in the north, where these things seem to be very normal. Oh, somebody harmed someone. There's no need to report to the police. Let's just attend to it in the family. And now we have this. It's not only a tragedy that struck the family or that shook them, it's also shaking an entire state, an entire country, and raises much more questions about social introspection, if you know what I mean. Sad one. I don't want to talk too much about it, Queen. Do you want to, or should we move on?
It's just unfortunate, and I think the first thing that came to mind were the repentant bandit. So after doing what he did the first time, and they were like, okay, everything is okay. Who did the investigation? How did he go out? How did they let him slip out of the cracks? And and now this. So it boils down to, how do you know the people who are repentant? What are we like? If the Lady of Justice is crying with her sword, then
well, she wasn't even involved. Is the problem?
Pretty sad.
Very, very sad. It's called familicide, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's what it's called, familicide. It's a sad situation here. I hope that justice does reign and that he's brought to book. Let's move now, because I'm being told that I have 3 minutes left. I can hear you guys. The ADC, what's happening? That's not Obi. I'm not sure exactly who that's depicting, but that seems like Atiku. Atiku and who now? Okay, I can't really confirm that, but we can see the ADC and the APC here. I'm having some technical issues here, so I'm going to move on this one if you don't mind. Thank you very much. No, I cannot. So let's move on this one. Let's move to our next strip. I'm going to come back to talk about this one if there is time. I only have 3 minutes, so let's do INEC. Let's do the glitch. Let's talk about what's happening as we prepare for 2027. We had another conversation yesterday, Queen, and we talked about the reforms that INEC needs to go through before it is set for 2027. Apart from the fact that there was only just one major change that was made, which was the INEC chairman, there are also other issues that need to be, well, other reforms that needs to happen. And part of that is the infrastructure, the transmission of results. And I don't think that there's much being said about that yet. Yes, there was a retreat for 2026 or 2026 INEC retreat, where most of these things were spoken about. But where is the action? Do we hear that there's something happened on the technology side? Do we hear that we've got more infusion of maybe great ideas or personnel or even instruments or equipment rather into the system? We've not heard any of that, but we're riding towards 2027. Are we going to wait until 6 months before the election? It's already 2026, by the way, so we're talking about next year here. So how much has happened in terms of policies, in terms of INEC's influence when it comes to party politics itself, and when it comes to the instruments? I keep saying instruments. When it comes to the equipment that will be used, are we ready or are we still in the dumps when it comes to INEC? Was the infusion of a new chairman all that was needed? Can he still work with everything that he met there, or does he need new personnel and new structure? We don't know yet. This is Business Day, of course. Once again, is this Asukwa? No, this is Okpara, who's done this very interesting artwork. INEC preparing for elections 2027. This is what it seems the picture is currently. What's your take, Queen?
Nigerians don't trust them. That's just the truth.
We don't, do we?
They don't trust them one bit. So it's like every day we got somebody new, but it's the same system, it's the same process. So at what point? So it feels like you're just telling them trash, you know. So they have to really come up with ways to communicate better to Nigerians to actually trust them, because if they don't trust them, then everything they do won't mean anything.
We also talked about education.
Yeah.
Voter education is also big on the table here. And I talked about the fact that manipulation is the fallout of lack of voter education. And not just manipulation the way you see it here. Go to the grassroots, go to the villages. When you see people switching their votes for bread and 100 naira and 10,000 naira, it's not because it's not just because that they are hungry. It's also because they're not educated enough to know that what I'm doing now is actually selling my future, mortgaging it. But we can't take any more, unfortunately, because we don't have any more time. However, if there is, I would like to come back and talk about one or two others that we couldn't show just now. But we have a conversation on hand, and it's a fallout from yesterday's conversation with Mr. Imiaba, and we're going to be having this one. It's about Rivers State. Stay tuned, you're going to see. It's very interesting. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Now, this morning we'll continue a conversation Mazino started yesterday, and if you stayed with us, you probably caught the hint. But in continuity, the legal battle surrounding the attempted impeachment of Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has entered uncertainty territory. A federal high court has adjourned proceedings indefinitely, effectively pausing the governor's challenge against the State House of Assembly and extending an already tense political standoff. This leaves Rivers in political limbo, with questions about governance, constitutional process, and what it means for the people of the state. To unpack this complex issue, we're joined this morning by Imiaba Oscar, National President of the South-South Youth Initiative, and Opunabo Inkotare, an expert in civil rights advocacy. Good morning, gentlemen, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Emiaba, it's good to see you again this morning. We were together yesterday.
Good morning.
Yes. So
Happy New Year. No, you were not with me yesterday. You were with my brother Oscar.
yes, indeed, yes. and Oscar led us to a very interesting conversation. We had started our conversation talking about the impeachment and how it's affecting governance inside of Rivers State. And then Oscar led us to thinking, or rather talking about the reason for the impeachment. And there were certain allegations that have been rife in Rivers State that have gone on social media and on sometimes even print. But before we go into our conversation, let me play that piece for you from yesterday's show, Mr. Opunabo, so that you are in the know of what happened and what led us here. So let's take it away. Let's see this.
Okay, let me just inform you that the reason for this second phase of the political talks we're having recently is because the FCT minister want a supplementary budget that will actually accommodate about 15 billion per House of Assembly member loyal to him. According to the FCT minister, this 15 billion naira will be given to the House of Assembly member loyal to him as constituency development project. Meanwhile, this House of Assembly member has been given 350 million naira each. Nothing to talk about. In the various constituency, there's nothing on ground for the 350 million that has been given to them. So the reason for this second phase of the issue is that the FCT minister wants a whooping sum of 400 billion naira as a supplementary budget
now, that's
added to the already existing budget.
That's a very big allegation there, and you've moved us into another topic. So that was the moment from yesterday. Emiaba talked about certain claims where we've heard this before, where the River State lawmakers aligned with Wike were expecting a supplementary budget, and this has led to the breakdown of processes inside of River State now that has led to the impeachment. Now, to continue, these were for constituency projects, and the differences over the played into the impeachment push that we're currently having. Now, Wike reportedly promised 10 billion. You said 15 billion from yesterday, but 10 billion is what we see here, allegedly for constituency projects through a supplementary budget to pro-Wike lawmakers. And Fubara refused, and he refused to present such a budget, which infuriated them, and that contributed to the impeachment process that we are seeing here now. So, Mr. Emiaba, Mr. Oscar, first off, I would like you to add to your claim before we move on to communicate or to conversing about this.
Thank you very much. Good morning again, and good morning to Nigerians.
Morning.
It's a good thing that we have to discuss a matter that concerns us at this point in time, even though the FCT minister and the enemies of Rivers State will not allow Rivers State to be in peace. Just recently, I've been watching the trending news that is ongoing about how backward the Rivers State is becoming, and how Rivers State, that was actually seen to be the treasure base of the nation, is now becoming one of the poorest states in this country in the midst of the resources that we have. Going forward, I think if there is any sort of person, or if there is anybody that needs to be investigated, is the Rivers House of Assembly led by Honorable Martins Amewule. Martins Amewule has actually spent 350 million naira outside the budget. Martins Amewule talk about financial gross misconduct by the governor. Personally, I am not on the scale or salary scale of His Excellency, but then let's be able to look at things based on the way it should be. We are talking about a constitutional breach. We are talking about financial misappropriation. Now, if actually Martins Amewule is concerned about the welfare and the development of governance in Rivers State, will Martins Amewule be allowed to spend outside the budget? The 350 million naira that was given to Martins Amewule, was it part of 2025 budget? So I think the first thing is, he who goes to equity must come with clean hands. So if Martins Amewule wants to investigate the financial misconduct of His Excellency the Governor of Rivers State, then Martins Amewule himself should submit himself first, or surrender himself for proper investigation. Now you spend beyond the budget. The 2025 budget did not accommodate 350 million that was given to Martins and his cohort. So where did you spend that money from? Isn't that outside the budget? So Martins Amewule at this point should surrender himself or submit himself for proper investigation on how he came about, or how he and his colleague spent the 350 million naira. I think that's where we are for now. Then going forward, His Excellency, the former governor of Rivers State, it's unfortunate that we have such a leader in Rivers State that is not thinking about the welfare, development, and the people of Rivers State. Rather, is concerned about how to use Rivers State resources, how to abuse the Rivers State resources, how to abuse the taxpayers' money, and how to abuse the internal generated revenue of Rivers State for its personal gain. It's unfortunate that we have such a leader at this point in time in our dear state, Rivers State. It's unfortunate, I repeat. Going forward, Nyesom Wike, second phase of our political saga in Rivers State is just about financial aspect of it. Now, he has met with His Excellency, requesting the governor of Rivers State, Simon Fubara, to actually add a whooping 400 billion naira as a supplementary budget, as there will be peace in Rivers State. And that this budget that he wants to add is for him to accommodate the Martin Samuel-led administration or speakers or as assembly members. Now, this is what Nyesom Wike has brought in this second phase of political tussle for. There is nothing Nyesom Wike is fighting for than to take charge of the financial aspect of Rivers State. This is quite unfortunate that Nyesom Wike, who actually become the former governor of Rivers State, in terms of Nyesom Wike, nobody, nobody, not even his local government chairman, not even the assembly members that Martin Samuel was even a part of, was able to challenge Nyesom Wike as a governor of Rivers State. Yes, we understand that His Excellency was nominated by Nyesom Wike, which is what we expected Nyesom Wike to be very, very proud about. For the first time that a former governor of Rivers State was able to nominate a governor. This has never happened in the history of Rivers State. But Nyesom Wike refused, and I've not seen that part of it for him to be grateful. Now, I think Rivers stakeholders, the likes of Peter Odili, the likes of Rufus Ada George, the likes of Ochimi Kolotima Mechi, and other people of Rivers State should be called to order for not being able to address Nyesom Wike, for being able to talk to Nyesom Wike and feel like I think they have been hypnotized.
Mr. Oscar,
I've been hypnotized by Nyesom Wike, and that's where we are today.
All right. Imiaba, this is a conversation, and I suggest that you make your responses summarily so that we will be able to get into the conversation. And of course, if you hear me speak, I please beg that you allow so that we can actually make this a very interesting conversation. I understand your passion, and I have many questions, but if I can't ask them, this will not be a conversation. All right, but thank you very much for your submission there. Now, regarding the 350 million naira, I'm going to leave that one aside for a second, but I would like you to establish the connection between Wike and the House here. You're alleging influence, you're alleging instruction, you're alleging control of someone who is no longer in government in Rivers State. Yes, he is the FCT minister and the former governor, but do you have proof of these? Let's go on a break. When we come back, Mr. Opunabo, we're going to let you speak on what everything that Mr. Imiaba Oscar has said, and then I'll need you to substantiate these claims, Mr. Oscar. But let's take a break for now. Welcome back here. It's the Breakfast Extra, and we're having this very interesting conversation about the Rivers State instance, the impeachment process, and what's led to it. We have with us Mr. Nkutaria and, of course, Mr. Oscar. And we've been talking about the claims that Mr. Oscar has brought in from yesterday, which he has reiterated currently. Gentlemen, especially you, Mr. Opunabo, you've heard Imiaba's claims here, and I'm wondering if you have any take on what he said, whether to prove or disprove it.
Well, I must be honest, that was a trenchant analysis of the situation. I mean, I could see the burning passion in my younger brother. I can also tell you that the limpidity, the clarity, the assertions of my younger brother is not in doubt. I must be honest, don't bother about, I call it mountain pass relevance and sanctimonious trivialities by the speaker. It is obvious, and we all know, that the Speaker and the members of the House of Assembly are doing what they are doing at the behest of the FCT minister. And it all boils down to control, and most importantly, financial control. First and foremost, they questioned or invited the former administrator, the Abbas, to come and give account of his stewardship financially. Abbas dismissed them as the rantings of a dog. He didn't bother about them. And they stopped. And the next thing they went to the governor. What is the whole problem? It's simple. They demanded 1 billion naira each. Don't forget, these assembly members have been given 350 million naira each with the latest SUV Prado. None has accounted for the 350 million naira given to them as constituency project. We also heard, although we cannot verify the veracity or the apocryphalness of that claim, but we have a conviction that even the 250 million naira given to the House of Assembly members, we are actually, the money was actually collected from them by their principal. When I mean their principal, I'm talking about the city minister, who collected a substantial part of it and gave peanuts to them. We also hear that the local government chairman in most local government areas, salaries have not been paid. And we are talking of autonomy of the local government areas. The state governor has no business with the local government areas. He has not interfered in the administration of the local government, which is very rare, which is a novelty in any part of the country. Even when you say the local governments are autonomous, the responsibilities, it's incumbent on the governor to ensure that the democracy of dividends trickle down to those in the local government areas. But given the peculiar circumstance in Rivers State, orchestrated by the FCT minister, just to stimulate the efforts of the governor in delivering the dividends of democracy, the governor of Rivers State decided to abstain himself. He had to recluse himself. He didn't want to get involved in the administration of local government areas. But we now understand that even most of the local government employees have not been paid. And you ask the question, why? Because you have somebody at the top who, when monies are released to the local government areas, they remove a substantial part of it and give back to him as a reward or as loyalty or as fidelity, as the case may be. And that is the situation in Rivers State. But don't also forget that at the end of 4 years or 8 years, as the case may be, who is going to take the credit or the blame if anything goes wrong with any part of Rivers State? It is the governor. This fight about this issue about gross, it's also, I'm also a strong advocate of amending the Constitution, where you say it is only the House of Assembly that can define gross misconduct. If you say it is only the House of Assembly that can define gross misconduct, then if the governor gets up in the morning to say, I will not say good morning to House of Assembly members, they will regard that as gross misconduct. That is extremely wrong. Although those who drafted the Constitution never envisaged this, but it also depends on those in positions of authority. Maybe the drafters of the Constitution consider that only honest, decent men with integrity, men of rectitude, will be placed in positions of authority. But that is not the case today, and that's why we have this problem. What is the problem of the governor? What is the sin of the governor? He refused to give them the 1 billion naira each. And that 1 billion naira, as far as I'm concerned, it is not necessarily going to go to the legislators for their own use or for the use of constituency projects. No. The truth about it is that the election, don't forget when the eve
Mr.
of the election. This is 2026. Just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. This is 2026.
Okay.
When the campaigns have started. We saw where the FCT minister said he was doing Thanksgiving service. Thanksgiving tour, local government, which he wouldn't have allowed. He wouldn't have allowed if you were a governor. Because we all knew how he came up with all those kind of sort of executive order, just to frustrate the opposition. But be that as it may, what they want is to gather enough money in order to work against the governor come 2027. That's the whole thing. And I want to let the world know that you say this man has refused to give you $1 billion naira. You have not accounted, just as my brothers, you've not accounted for the 350 million naira given to you. Let's go round the 22 local government areas. Let's go around the constituency and let a House of Assembly member come out to say, this is what I did with the 350 million naira given to me.
Okay, now that's the point, Mr. Okunabo. Now that's the point. Can you also point to any local government projects that was not executed that points to the misuse of this 350 million naira? Which ones were not?
It will be difficult to say this is a local government project that has not been executed.
Or anyone that any contractor that wasn't paid.
It will be easier to say that these are the local government projects that were executed by the assembly members. But to say this is the one that has not been executed is very difficult. Estimate, how can you say this is not the one that, because there would be discussions,
there would be proposals, there would be discussions,
but no project has been executed to justify the amount they have received. That is the problem. That is the issue here. I cannot say this is what this man has not done. But I can say, I cannot say this, I can say this is what this man has done, but I cannot say this is what he has not done. because you have scale of preference. Probably this is a man that said, okay, I'll first of all build schools.
Then to the request of the 1 billion, to the request of the 1 billion naira now, can you substantiate that? Imiaba, can you substantiate that anyhow? Are there any documents or any conversations that one can say was documented to prove that this was requested by the House and they weren't given by the governor?
Thank you very much. I think at this point in time, well, I am not a member of the Rivers House of Assembly, neither a staff of the Assembly quarters, but I believe that what is playing out right now in our state is obvious because some of us may have our a very, very genuine source of information. And based on our genuine source of information, we have also been privileged to be in some of these places where, or be among some of these principals that are actually expressing their displeasure with the governor of Rivers State, especially the House of Assembly members loyal to the FCT ministers in several forums. They are not hiding it. They are openly saying it that, yes, the governor is changing. I think that's what they are saying. I've heard that in several forums where they say that government is not giving them money. And that the major challenge they have with His Excellency is because the Executive Governor of Rivers is not giving them the money they expect to throw around and to mess around with. I think it's just all about their personal greed. And secondly, the FCT Minister, Barrister Nyesom Wike, is also not interested in the developments of Rivers State and also not concerned about the welfare of Rivers citizens and the genuineness of governance because he is not a man that is an architect of governance. Nyesom Wike is not an architect. He's not interested in governance. And not concerned about the welfare of Rivers people. So I think all of this has been orchestrated by the FCT minister because of his personal greed or personal interest in the resources of Rivers State. He's not interested about the welfare and the growth of Rivers State. And that's why we look back, looking back to the project of Nyesom Wike.
Mr. Oscar, just a second. I understand this passion about trying to link the FCT minister to the impeachment process inside of Rivers State, but I asked about the 1 billion naira. Is there any substantive evidence to show that it was requested by the House? Is there any? I haven't gotten that answer yet.
Now, I think the substantive evidence we are talking about is the paper documentation, possibly where we have video clip or where they're having that actually. At the moment, yes, we may not have that paper documentation at this point. But I think, like I said before, it's obvious that we have been in several forums. We are openly, of course, I do not record them because I don't record people without permission. But I've been in several forums where the House of Assembly members, we have to use some weekend, have actually expressed their displeasure, which I can very, very much spell out or mention in them of some of these. If
it's a big issue, and if you're so passionate about it, then there should be some proof.
My brother,
yes, sir.
It is deductive logic. It is deductive logic.
But this is mass media. If we're going to go on such a claim, then there must be evidence, is what I'm saying.
No. We're going to come out with evidentiary proof. Nobody knew. I don't think. My brother, I also did not know that we are going to be asked such questions. But no problem. If the House of Assembly members, like they allege, the governor denied them their due in terms of constituent right, this much the Speaker of the House of Assembly said. Now you ask the question, how? 350 million naira was given to you. You talked of supplementary budget. What was the whole essence of the supplementary budget? It is not the governor. It belongs on the governor to decide whether he needs a supplementary budget or not. You say you want the supplementary budget because monies due you have not been given to you. What are the monies due you? That your salaries are paid, the salary of the Assembly Commission members are paid. So which other money due you are you talking about? You are just talking about, and we all know that what you wanted was, what each person wanted for God was, what allegedly for God was 1 billion naira. And that's what you're asking for. That's why I say deductive logic. It's simple.
Okay then.
We don't need, it obviates any need for any further proof. Yeah. Because you said the salaries are being paid, Assembly Commission member, salaries are being paid, or your entitlements or whatever are being given to you. 350 million, even part of your contract released to you, but you still you still accuse the governor of not releasing money for your constituent budget. What constituent are you talking about? What money are you talking about?
So
it's the 1 billion you're talking about.
Mr. Nkutare, I think for me, do you think it's possible that this demand by the lawmakers is more institutional rather than personal. That's just one. And, I'm hearing a lot of numbers, of money flying around. Has there been any way where it has been reported to anti-corruption agencies than, we just hearing it, about politics conversation?
That is the advocacy of most persons now, that they have to, it's like what you call the security vote. That's what we are saying. The EFCC will investigate this issue.
Has there been
most of these the funds meant for constitutional projects are not used for that purpose. They are used to further align the pockets of the assembly members, the legislators. Forget about the sentential rhetorics of the speaker, who I say they are dismissed as mounting pious relevance and sanctimonious triviality, trying to give the impression that they are there in the interest of Rivers President. They are not there. They are there to project and protect the interest. Let me tell you, the speaker's own case is really very special, because he believes that if the governor and the deputy governor are removed from office, he becomes the acting governor constitutionally. And as acting governor, within the 3 or 6 months, as the case may be, definitely he's going to do his bidding and the bidding of his master. And that's why you see him that ferocious. You see him pugnacious, always fighting to ensure that the governor is being removed. This fight is not about Rivers persons. The governor is there in the image of the Rivers people. This is a man that has said Rivers money for Rivers persons. And they said the man is stingy. No doubt about that. He is stingy because Rivers persons are used to governors who come and dole out monies. All they want is patronage, all they want is loyalty.
So, Mr.
They are not interested. They said, 1 minute, sorry, my sister. They said the FCT minister did a lot. He did nothing. His sons graduated from schools in London. His son studied law, the other one studied economics or thereabout. I was a special advisor when they announced and we drew the scholarship of those who went abroad to study economics, to study law and all. He said it was unnecessary and a waste of public funds. That these are courses that can be done here. That he can only consider those who went abroad to study courses that are not offered here. But this is the same man that went over and sent his kids abroad. Is that not duplicity? Is that not a contradiction or paradox?
So, Mr. Secretary,
so this fight is not about Rivers persons, as far as the FCT minister is concerned. It's about his pocket.
So you're
and that's
saying,
what's interesting.
So
when they say the government is stingy, the government is not stingy in terms of projects. Look at the projects the government executed before the suspension, the state declared state of emergency, and even after. So the government is not stingy in terms of project.
Mr. Secretary, so basically what you're saying that what the lawmakers are demanding are not institutional, but they are very personal to them. So it has nothing to do with Rivers State. It is
purely egocentric. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Purely egocentric. They are personal. Just to further align their own pockets.
So if there was an investigation, because Mr. Secretary, we're asking this very specifically, and this goes to you as well. We're asking this very specifically because if there hasn't been a report to the authorities, the EFCC, for instance, if you're only just sitting down and saying that, okay, it should be investigated, there needs to be proof. Now, his son graduating here or there, that's not proof of the influence that the governor or the FCT that the minister has in the states.
Sorry, my brother. We are cross-border. Let me correct this impression.
Even the money is being requested or being allegedly requested.
No, 1 minute. Sorry, my brother. Because very soon you tell me there is no time. So let me quickly correct that impression.
Okay.
I can send my daughter to school here. I can send my kids abroad. I don't have a problem with that. But if I send my kid abroad to study law, and I should not discourage you from sending your kid abroad to study law. Now, we said Rivers State government that the scholarships were awarded by the right of the as a governor, and we had an RSSD or something who were in charge of that, and we had the money, enough money to sponsor those kids. Now imagine the trauma they went through when they were withdrawn. Some of them in their final year, some of them in their third year, they were withdrawn, and they said they will be readmitted into schools in Nigeria. Most of them were not readmitted. Most of them committed suicide. So the point I'm making is, he who goes to equity goes with clean hands. Justice, you cannot cherry pick in the administration of justice. That is my point. So what I'm telling you now is that what this fight is all about is what I call the pestilence of godfatherism. It really has nothing to do with the interest of Rivers persons. It's egocentric. That's what this battle is all about. You tell me one major sin the governor has committed other than saying, no, I must break out of this asphyxiation. I must not be suffocated to death by one man as against Rivers people. This is what this struggle is all about. But then you tell me one thing that the governor has done that you say he should be impeached and removed from office. You know, there are two different things, impeachment and removal. Impeachment seems official indictment. That's just the meaning of impeachment. Then you now have the removal after the impeachment. But you tell me one thing that the governor has done that is worthy of impeachment and removal. Nothing. Nothing. You're talking of the 600 billion naira. You're talking of, sorry, the budget. This is a budget that was passed by the National Assembly. And the appropriation lifespan is 1 year. And the government is saying, it is not time and I don't need supplementary budget. Why must you force supplementary budget on the governor if there is no pecuniary interest? Because in that supplementary budget, you believe that your interest will be taken care of. That's why you're talking of supplementary budget. Otherwise, why will you force it on the governor? This is a man who says, this is how much I want to spend. In this particular place, even the budget was foisted on the governor, foisted on the governor. Because if the budget was presented to the president and who sent it to the National Assembly, and it was ratified. And that is what the government is using. The lifespan of that budget has not expired. Why do you want that? And the government is the only one that can say, I need a supplementary budget. Why are you calling for a supplementary budget?
We spent plenty of time on this issue of this supplementary budget, and we're forgetting that the main issue is actually about the impeachment process and how it's affecting the citizens. I'm wondering what
these are all the gross misconducts outlined now. This is part of the gross misconduct outlined.
Indeed. But I would like to know whether this signifies a deeper mistrust between the people and governance here. If these are the allegations that are being raised by people in certain quarters, in certain communities, what about the grassroots? What is the effect on these people, apart from the fact that there are projects that are not being executed? What are the people themselves saying? I asked Emir about this yesterday, and I can't remember what your response was, but I don't think that I was satisfied with it. There seems to be a kind of docile response from the people of Rivers State. I remember your response now. You said that the governor had asked them not to respond in any way, shape, or form. While that seems noble to forestall anything violent, what are the people actually going through? What are the lived realities of the people of Rivers State currently because of this impeachment process? That is the bigger issue here. Mr. Emiaba, if you will again, or no, rather, Mr. Apunabo, because I would like to hear from you. I heard from Emiaba yesterday on that question.
Very good. I can tell you that Rivers persons are peeved. They are extremely angry. Because in as much as the governor, given the circumstances we find ourselves, has done extremely well in terms of delivery of dividends of democracy. Extremely well, given the circumstance. Rivers persons are not really happy because we want the governor to be left alone to do what he can do. And we have extreme confidence in that governor that he is going to make Rivers. Look, in the last 8 years, it has been a march of terror, conquest, and subjugation. You are talking of projects that the SPCs are. What are the projects? Building flyovers. Those are projects that are linked to money that will be federal line in his own pockets. Are you talking of employment? There are no employment. Are you talking of salary increment for workers? Nothing. There was stagnation even in ministries. He just talked of project, even in the ICT. Look at the strike recently by the workers in FCT. He got project, and why are you having on protest? Simply because of the pecuniary gains. Let's not be deceived. That's why he keeps talking of project. What of the human capital development? Zero. Completely zero. And this is a government that has come with holistic approach. If you go to the ministry, the people are very happy with it. If you go on the streets, people are very happy with it. It might not give you cash, but it's going to create an enabling environment that will help you grow. And that is what they say. Do not give a man feed, but teach him how to feed. And that is what the government is doing. Not to be dependent on a particular government, depend on the government and not on the governor. That's the policy of the present governor. But what the FCT minister wants is no. Depend on the governor. And your dependence on the governor will be based on my relationship with you. He makes one or two other persons a little bit comfortable when he was the governor of the state. But that was the microscopic few. We are talking about a generality of Rivers persons. And that is the whole problem. I can tell you now in Rivers State that Rivers persons are very pleased with the governor, and most of them are pleased. They are very upset that this man is not being allowed to rule. But notwithstanding the challenges, he has done tremendously well for himself and for Rivers persons in terms of governance. If you go to the Secretariat, Rivers persons are very happy. You go on the streets, projects are going on. The human and the human capital development is palpable and pervasive. It's everywhere. You can feel it. Then what else do you want to get? That's what governance is all about. Governance is not something selfish in nature. That's what governance is all about. But in the 8 years of voting, that wasn't the case. It wasn't the case at all. Not at all. It was not project, and he had one strategy. He was inviting the media so that people would say, he's using Rivers money for Rivers. Okay, look at just recently, he just bought a jet. Let me ask you a question. A man said he bought a Rolls Royce. You ask yourself, from 1999 to date, you've been in government. How much is your salary? Your salary cannot afford the Rolls Royce. From local government to minister, you cannot afford the Rolls Royce. Now we also hear he's got a jet. But this is a government that is not interested in all those things.
Right. So, Mr. Oscar,
probably because he thought he was going to be a president, he built another presidential villa in Rivers State. Taxpayers' money. Half of Rivers State is owned by Nyesom Ezewiki. It's no secret anymore.
Right.
Is that the kind of governance we want to continue? And we say, no problem. You've done your bit, go. Now allow this man who is there in the image of Rivers persons to govern. You say no. You still want to dictate to him because you brought him. And so what? So if I sponsor your wedding, I should sleep with your wife?
Mr. Nkutare, thank you for that. Now, Mr. Oscar, I would like you to add to what Mr. Nkutare said, but I also wanted to ask that, do you think that these allegations of, all this money's flying around and the reason behind the impeachment, because this is more personal, like you said, would be the reason why the court has adjourned this, because they want to get to the bottom before dealing with this issue?
This opportunity to thank. I want to use this opportunity to thank my uncle in the studio with me, Opunabo Kutari, for standing on the path of justice. It's good to see an elder or stakeholders like this joining us, the youth, to stand on the side of justice and give us an encouragement. Moving forward, I think it's actually a good thing that we are discussing this particular issue. Like I said earlier, the whole essence or the brain behind, the rationale behind all of this is because the FCT minister want to pocket Rivers State. There is no other truth or bitter truth than this. You see, we talk about constitution. I always want to say that we should discuss constitution where it is necessary. And then also should discuss personal interest where it is necessary. At this point, we don't have a constitutional problem in Rivers State. The only thing we have at this point is personal and selfish interest of one man trying to play out in the interest of everybody. That's what is going on in Rivers State. We don't have a constitutional breach. The executive governor of Rivers State is doing well. His Excellency Mark Fubara is doing well. All we are trying to say at this point in time is that the executive governor of Rivers State, Mark Fubara, should not allow himself to be distracted by this high level of the FCT minister level of politics. Because what the FCT minister is trying to achieve is to make sure that the executive governor of Rivers State do not succeed or would not be able to pinpoint anything he has done for the people as to ascertain his return for 2027. He's trying to distract him from governance. So he will not have anything to use to campaign to Rivers people, or nothing tangible that Rivers people can be able to see that will be able to return him for 2027. This is what the FCT is going to play out. Now the court adjourning the date for all of this. I think it's also good that the court also must go into hearing and they also allow investigation to be given, just like they also ask us for proof about the 400 billion or the 250 million. With some of us, because of this question you have asked, we are going to also go and find this to get our very serious or genuine evidence or proof, so that maybe next time when we are able to appear on your station, we can be able to present to you that these are the evidence you asked for. Like I said, like my uncle said, Punabo said, if at all we are prepared to present some of this proof, or we are privileged to know some of this question, we have been able to make available some of this proof or evidence that you asked for. So moving forward, it is also good that the court have decided to hear this matter and also decided to give at least an adjoining date to listen more and to get more clarification about the happenings in Rivers State. But then, This is not a matter of constitution. This is a matter of personal interest. The Rivers people must rise up. You talk about people, the grassroots people. I belong to the grassroots. I've never been on the pay of the government. I'm not a former advisor. I'm not a former government official. I've not been a government official before. I am just a youth leader in my own sector. I belong to the grassroots level. So when you talk about people at the grassroots level, then I am here as the people at the grassroots level. I'm quite sure you're not going to interview everybody on the street. So you have me representing the people of the South Side Youth Initiative and other interested Rivers youth that are interested about peaceful governance, about genuine governance in the state. I think at this point, those of us belonging to the grassroots level, which I come from, I am coming from the grassroots level. I am not a government appointee. I've not been a governor appointee before.
Mr. Oscar, finally, and if you would keep this very short, what outcome would you like to see that preserves the rule of law and the confidence of the people and the governance? Please, real quick, 30 seconds, please, because we have to go.
Please come back to your question.
I'm asking what outcome would you like to see that preserves law and also that preserves law and governance with this situation?
You see what I'm saying?
Now, what we expect at this point in time as a proof for the rule of law in Rivers State is that first, if you will go to equities, like they said, must come with clean hands or go with clean hands. So if the speaker was able to spend 350 million naira that was not in Rivers State budget, he should first submit himself for investigation. Before investigating the governor or before accusing the governor of financial fraud conduct, he should first be investigated before investigating the governor. That's what we are saying.
All right. I think that sorts it there.
Thank you so much, Mr. Oscar. I appreciate that.
No.
Mr. Bunaba, you have a summary of you want to summarize your conclusion here real quick, sir, please.
Yes, I want to be honest with you. I am not bothered about any panel to be set up to investigate the governor.
Okay.
Or the allegations leveled against the governor.
Okay.
Although we live in a country where the rule of law is caged and administration of justice roundly subverted. But I want to advise that those members of any panel, if eventually a panel is set up, members of that panel must be men of integrity. And the tempest of justice must not be allowed to blow fitfully. So that we are going to have justice in the matter and once and for all put an end to this madness.
All right.
Rivers persons are very happy with the governor of Rivers State. Rivers persons believe that the governor of Rivers State is very innocent. Rivers persons believe that the governor of Rivers State should be given the right to recontest because that is the whole essence of that's the quiddity of it, this whole nonsense.
All right.
Rivers State people believe that the governor is there in the image of Rivers persons and he should give him right to recontest. I am not worried about impeachment. It is the constitutional right of the House of Assembly or even the National Assembly. But such rights must be exercised prudently.
All right, then.
The members of the panel must be men of integrity.
Mr. Opunabo Nkotaria, Mr. Emiaba Oscar, thank you very much for 45 minutes of fiery conversation here regarding the instances inside of Rivers State and the impeachment process. Yes, we have to go now, Mr. Opunabo. We apologize once again. That is our mantra. But thank you very much, gentlemen. We've had a very interesting conversation. To our viewers, do stay tuned. We've got more conversation. No, that's not the only one coming up. And we'll be right back inside of Breakfast Extra. Thank you.
Please come, Eva.
Oh, I am so sorry. Oh. Welcome back. Still Breakfast Extra here. Our second big story. Today, well, it takes us into the heart of Nigerian party politics. A recent court ruling on the Labour Party's leadership has shaken up plans and strategy ahead of 2027 elections. The judgment has realigned the internal power structure of the party and is affecting key stakeholders, grassroots organizers, and presidential hopefuls. It's being described by analysts as a reset moment for one of Nigeria's fastest growing political forces.
And of course, to help us unpack what this court verdict means for the party is its supporters, and the broader opposition landscape, we're joined this morning by two Labour Party leaders, Prince Ahanotu, the National Youth Leader, and John Igbojionu, State Secretary of the Labour Party in Abia State. Good morning, gentlemen, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Nigerians.
Okay.
Good to be here this morning.
So, sir, please, let's start with you. Can you just talk to us? Let's begin with this judgment itself. Can you explain what the court ruling said and how it has altered, the leadership dynamics within the Labour Party?
Well, I'm sure that your representative were there in the court and probably listened to the judge who spoke from the two sides of his mouth. On one hand, the judge said that it's an internal affair of the party. In another hand, the judge is saying that there is a vacuum in the party. So I don't know the political interest and political affiliation that the judge may have to have understood that there is a vacuum in the Labour Party. Even why there is a counter affidavit that he refused to listen to, that is saying clearly that there has never been any vacuum in the party, and the judge went ahead to give his ruling. Well, the honorable judge has given his judgment, and it has caused some, kind of crisis in the polity in the country. But what I can assure you is that that judgment will be quashed by appeal court, because there is no place in law where a court has the power and jurisdiction to declare leadership for any political party in Nigeria. There are plethora of judgments by the Supreme Court that clearly says that no court in Nigeria has the power and has the ability. In fact, the Supreme Court said that it's an area where angels, fear to tread. So it's not something for the High Court. I don't even imagine. I can't even imagine that a Supreme Court have given a judgment and said that nobody should venture into this, and High Court assume the power and the godly power to now declare leadership for school party.
Mr. Ahanotu.
So the judgment, anytime any judge gives judgment, you see the court as the court pleases. So the courts are pleasing, the court are pleased in this one, but it will not stand because there is no place in law for the judgment.
Mr. Ahanotu, for me, I'm very concerned about the timing of all of this. The LP inside of Abia State is actually a very big force to reckon with. It's an Eastern party, whether you like it or not. Now, for this to be happening now, I'm wondering how it plays into strategy. Do you think that this is a disruption or intentional in itself?
From the look of things, you see that this is a calculated attempt to destroy Labour Party.
Why do you think so?
The fact that some individuals, pardon?
Why do you think it is a regulated attempt to destroy the Labour Party? Exactly how you put it.
There's nothing difficult in the matter at stake. You join the party in 2023, and the party graciously gives you almost free tickets to win a governorship election. And when you won that governorship election, you have never invested anything in the party. You have never thought of consolidating the gains, even in your state. Because we can assume the personalities that are fueling this crisis. We know them, and we cannot, say we don't know them. So they are funding it seriously, funding the crisis. So I think it's a calculated attempt to destabilize and destroy Labour Party, because the party has come of age. The party have, become known across the country. So since they cannot have it as they used to do in other political parties where they came from, what they do in the other political parties is that when you win a governor, you become the God and personal savior of the political party. Everybody will not be coming to bow down to worship you. But in Labour Party, the mighties and the small are the same. That is why even the national chairman, some of us that are national leaders of the party, are not former ministers, are not former governors, are not former senators. The Labour Party is a party for the common persons, in Nigeria. And it's only in Labour Party that somebody can become a ward chairman, grow from ward chairman to become a local government secretary of the party, grow from local government secretary of the party and become a national deputy secretary of the party. And it's only in Labour Party. There is no political party in Nigeria that have this record of growing in the ranks in their leadership. It's only in Labour Party. And some of these guys that have been merged in the party in 2023 are established politicians who believe in hijacking political party structure. So in this case, since they cannot manipulate the party structure, they now want to destabilize, distort, and destroy the party before 2027 election.
Right.
But, when you are holding somebody down, you are also down with the person.
Right. So with all these conversations that you just mentioned and, the structure in Labour Party and how it's unshakable, do you think that this situation and the verdict from the court could affect the unity and the mobilization in Labour Party, especially, among people who are just joining Labour Party and going to be, first, 2027 will be their first voting time?
I can assure you that, in fact, despite what is happening, last week we had a series of engagement in the party. There are several engagements that the party have been having. A lot of people, credible Nigerians, are reaching out, coming to join the party. Look, people knows the truth. No matter how we try to paint it, people knows what is happening in the party. And a lot of people are becoming kind of sympathetic with the party because they know that, there's this balance that when you play ball, you lick orange. No matter how small they felt that we are, we also have people that are sympathetic to us. We also have brothers and sisters. They may be richer than us. We may also be having uncles and aunties that are richer than them. So they can't just take over the party. I agree that the situation have affected somehow the party in terms of whenever we want to do something, they come with, like, the party has already scheduled to start a mentorship program, if you are following the politics. And now they have come with this to destabilize that action that the party wants to take, which will make a great impact in the society. So what they want to do is that they want to do everything possible to discredit our leadership, to make it look as if we are not doing anything. But I can assure you, no matter how dark the night is, morning must surely come.
Right. And, some people say, or some people are saying the reason why all these issues are steaming up is because, former presidential candidate Peter Obi had moved, to the ADC. What's your take on that? Do you think that is one of the reasons why all these situations are happening in the, Labour Party?
No, I don't agree with that. In fact, the person you mentioned was even among those that initiated the division in the party. Oh. I am sorry, but His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi did not handle the issue of Labour Party as expected by younger generation like me in the party. All honesty. In fact, this is not a serious issue. It started like play. People
how exactly did it start, and how exactly do you think that he was the initiator of the disunity or dispute in the Labour Party there in Abia State?
Look, there has never been let me shock you. There has never been any meeting called by His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi and Ale Soti and sat down and say, since we are here, how do we move forward? A political party is like a family. At every point, if you have respect of that political party, like we do have that respect for His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi, and that was why the party gave him everything. If you come to the party today, there is no bicycle that is donated to the party by His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi, who ran for presidential election. There is no chair that is donated by Ale Soti that ran and won a governorship election in the party. So, and we had the experience of a governor from Ondo State, Mimiko, who won an election under Labour Party. And the first thing Mimiko did was, first of all, donate things to the party, empower the party leadership, supported the party leadership before he now came and said, let's change strategy, let's change leadership. And it happened seamlessly. But you can't just come, win an election, the first agenda on your table is all of them that were there when I came in should go. That was what Dr. Lesoti started doing in Abia State. The moment he won election, the first request he made to the National Working Committee was that the state chairman that he won election with should be chased away. And eventually, the National Working Committee accorded him that respect and removed the state chairman that won election with him. Till today, Alesoti have never given that man a bottle of Coke. A man that won election with him. When they say people should be magnanimous in victory, you see, the man is from Abia State. You can even give him SSA political. Open one window office for him in your village.
So, Mr. Hanota,
sure that nobody hears his voice.
So, Mr. Hanota, I hear what you're saying.
Just to compensate him.
Mr. Hanota, I hear what you're saying, but basically, I feel, you're trying to say that are people using the members of Labour Party, because you've mentioned, the few people that have become, governors and presidential candidates not coming back to say, thank you for your support, or this is how we're going to help the party. So are you saying that is one of the reasons why there's a bit of issue in the House? You come, we support you, and then you disappear without any form of payback or say thank you. And how do you think this can change? So how do you think we can move past this? How do you think this can change?
No, the lesson there to learn is that political parties must go back and bring out their membership register and make sure that people are members of their party before they give them ticket to run an election.
Okay.
They should make sure that this man believes in the party ideology and party philosophy before they give them nomination to run an election. The case of 2023, within 1 month, even after nomination have closed by INEC, it was during the substitution primaries that all these men that lost primaries, that couldn't conduct primaries in their political parties, just came. And we gave them waivers, and made them candidates of our party. All of them in the National Assembly, majority of them did not pay for nomination fee. But because we were eager to make, impact in the national stage, we were not looking at certain things. We gave all of them tickets to run an election.
Right.
And today, including the senators, including the House of Rep members, none of them have come back to, consolidate or give back to the party.
Well, Mr.
All they want is remove my ward chairman, remove my local government chairman, remove my state chairman. This is what we have been experiencing since they won election.
Right. Well, Mr. Prince Ahana, thank you so much for joining. Unfortunately, we're not being able to join. John Igbojiono was not able to join us. But we thank you. We see that you've talked about, Labour Party being a trusting party. And, it's unfortunate that, you people feel like they're allegedly using the members, and it's something that they need to figure out. But we appreciate you joining us and having this conversation with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Let's keep believing in Labour Party. Labour Party will rise again. I am very sure of that.
Let's hope so. Thank you. And now we'll go on a quick break. When we return, Breakfast Extra continues with more stories. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, this week in Extra Special highlights a policy shift that's creating waves across Africa's travel community, especially among Nigerians planning to fly to the United States. The United States recently introduced the visa ban, which is affecting citizens from several African countries, restricting entry for thousands of applicants and tightening eligibility criteria. The move has sparked concerns among students, professionals, tourists, and families who had travel plans, forcing many to confront a new reality of uncertainty and disrupted mobility. So to help us unpack what this means and what travelers should know or what you should need while putting those jackpot plans together, we're joined by Oladipo Adewale, an immigration consultant. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Queen. Thanks for having me.
When I'm seeing that in my head, I'm thinking, do I need visa now? But anyway, let's talk about this. We've been hearing this, visa issues and all that. Can you just give us an idea of, what this is about? Like, can you just tell us what the visa ban entails and what categories of travelers are more affected?
Yes. Thanks for having me. So It's really not a visa ban, right? It's the second time that our president in the U.S., Donald Trump, has sort of suspended certain African countries, which Nigeria is a part of. The very first time was in his first term of office, and when he lost his re-election bid, the Democrats humbly returned some of those countries, back to be able to apply for visas. And when he came back, sort of what has happened with Africa and Nigeria in recent weeks is the first thing was our new designation of being a country of particular concern, and that basically then obviously makes us a bit of a problem for them on the security side of things. And so it's a suspension. It's not really a ban, but for now, until they change their minds, Nigerians cannot apply for visas or certain visas, which are usually the popular ones: study visas, visiting visas. Green cards and things like that for the foreseeable future.
So suspension, of course, we know that we've been seeing a lot of denial recently. Yeah. So what's new? What would be the changes you think that Nigerians will experience at the consulate now?
So usually, and this really goes to the big four, we call them the big four, that's UK, US, Canada, and Australia, is that they usually follow each other. Now, of the four of them, three of them are Commonwealth countries, right? Australia, UK, and Canada. Yeah. Now, UK being the sort of the big brother or the daddy to all of them, all the Commonwealth countries, which Nigeria is actually a part of, right? And what usually happens is that once one of them begins to complain or shift their visa policies, which also is really tied to how they elect officials, because unlike Africa, usually people will campaign on certain policies, and immigration is usually a very strong one. Okay. Because Australia, UK, and Canada, immigration has been very big in how they have sort of uplifted their economy. Okay. Yeah, they bring the biggest talents into their countries, give them opportunities for work and things like that. And so what usually happens is that once one of them begins to complain, and it was Australia first a couple of years ago when the new prime minister came in, then before we knew it, the UK followed suit. And in that same period, a new prime minister emerged in the UK. And then shortly after, in Canada, now the Liberal Party didn't want to lose their seats, and then they removed their prime minister and brought the new prime minister.
Weapon fashioned against us.
Yes. And so what happened is that the three Commonwealth countries changed their policies. So right now, those three countries also have sort of reduced, right, how you can enter their country.
Right.
Now, US is like the big brother to everybody. It's like, they say the leader of the free world. So what they usually do is they go with force, right? Just like we saw them do in recent weeks, when they sorted out the Gaza issues and things like that, is that they then say, look, if you're on this list, you are suspended. Right, you're either suspended or banned. But right now they're calling it suspension. And probably one of the biggest reasons is for security. The second reason is because the high number of Nigerians and Africans that try to go into these countries, a lot of times we use fraudulent documentation. The processes are not, as straightforward as they would like it. And that's what the four of them have actually started doing. Now, for the longest time, between you and I, and our audience,
and our guests,
the US has always been the easiest one to scale through. Right? Okay. It's been very, very easy to game. Right. Now, why am I saying this? Is because with the US, you fill a form and then you go to the visa officer and then you just answer questions. And if you're able to sell your life very well, you scale through. Right. Now, Australia, UK, and Canada, you just fill forms, provide documentations, and you can go.
And then they get to peruse through your documents and decide.
Exactly. So the US is saying, look, we haven't changed this thing for a very long time. It's now time that we take a look at it. And part of what they've changed is that, look, your social media, we're going to scrub through. So if you were a child many years ago and used to tweet a lot of nonsense, you probably want to go and check those things and say, look, I've now advanced, I'm now a grown adult.
I'm a repentant.
I've repented, right? And so that's usually what happens. And so it makes it difficult. Now, the other problem they have is that when people say they want to go study in the US or they want to go work in the US, the documentations that we are providing now has become a lot more fraudulent for them, because why do you get there and then you begin to seek asylum? You get there and then you cannot pay your tuition.
Right.
And whereas when you apply, you show the visa officer, I had X amount of money, right? And that's why obviously we recommend that people obviously plan properly when they're looking to go abroad.
Well, visa, I have a thing for visa conversations because, but anyway, before we continue this conversation, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, Oladipupo is here with us. Welcome back. We're having a conversation about visa ban and suspension with a lot of people our immigration because see this visa thing. I'm sure a lot of people like ask questions. See, it's crazy, and it's weird how you say U.S. is like the easiest. A lot of people don't like talking, so they'll rather even give you all the documents. Now you had mentioned how they feel like most of the documents provided are fraudulent, and I think for me, would you say the reason why a lot of people are leaving Nigeria is because of the situation here in Nigeria? You hear of, if you get there, if they take your tax, at least you have enough money to feed yourself. It's straightforward. You have your basic amenities. Would you say that those are the reasons why a lot of people are just carrying their bags? Say, whoa, greener pastures. It's greener on the other side.
Yeah. I had this question asked on radio the other day.
Yeah.
The reality is that I think it's different strokes for different folks. I never wanted to leave the country, right? And I would say that at a very young age, I couldn't even afford to go abroad. And then when I could afford it, I'm pro-Nigerian. I love my country. I want to be here to fix my country. Now, as somebody who has helped thousands of people over the last 10 years, I think that if people travel for different reasons, right? Parents will send their children abroad because they don't want their children to go through what they're going through here. Sometimes people would plan and say, look, let me just get a second passport because we don't know when Yawa go gas for our country, right? And then some people, and I think this is the greater populace, is that we are focused on the lies that we hear on social media or the news that we read, which is that, it's easy to go to this place, so live here and go and get a job, or you can make money in dollars. And that is not usually the reality. Because a great number of people that I know that go abroad, they still go and work in supermarkets, they go to work in warehouses. It's not all rosy where you are going to get a KPMG UK job,
right?
Or some very big media job in Canada and things like that. So the main reason is because people are looking for something better, and that is not always what's best.
But wouldn't you say that most times when they go to work at these warehouses and supermarkets, they still earn more than people were doing 9 to 5?
Certainly, and then but their health life is not fantastic. They have back pains.
Is fantastic?
So there's nothing like home. Like, let's be very realistic. And I'm not poo-pooing my business because this is what I do for a living, right? But the reality is that there has to be a balance, right? Immigration has been since before our time, right? It's Sunday. If you're a believer, you understand that the Bible talks about how people have been moving for the longest time.
Right.
So it's part of our life, right? People need to move, but not everybody can move, right? And particularly when you're coming from the biggest African country with over 200 million people, as the populace. So the question is that how many of us can move, right? How much space do you have in all these other countries that can accommodate us? Then the other reality is that do we meet their certain academic thresholds? Our professionals here, do they meet the standards of what they are looking for you to go and get there? A lot of my customers who live here as big men, as GMs and directors, when they go there, they take 3 steps, 4 steps down. So yes, the money may be a lot more, but the quality of life is not everything, right? There's nothing like home. You're never going to be anything but a second-class citizen.
You have access to a Malan store, very easy and fresh.
God bless you. How many of our friends come home every Christmas and you guys are like, let's go to this place, let's go to this spot, don't tell me where I chop amala, those kind of things. But yes, it's a balance, right? And now, I don't disagree that a lot of people go abroad and they make it, particularly from the undergrad level where we're like, okay, come for undergrad, postgrad, you are below 30, you're below 35, you stand a very great chance to be able to become something there. That's something that you can do for yourself. You get a second passport, or you get residency, yes. But then when you see people who do not have, let's also be frank, good enough degrees here in Nigeria, and they're just trying to find a way to go there, it's a very, very difficult thing.
Right. So let's talk about the people who already, planned to jackpot or study or to go and work. Now everything is on suspension. So what should they expect? Their timeline, their money, their expectations. How should they plan?
Yeah, so until Marco Rubio, the Secretary of the U.S. government, speaks, right now, the U.S. is sort of on hold. There's nothing you're going to be able to do. Obviously, the U.S. has a very large organization here that works with Nigerian students, particularly it's called Education USA. So you want to follow them for more updates on that.
Okay.
The UK also has sort of, again, our dollar rate has sort of not helped us, right? But there are certain countries like Canada that still have a lot of opportunities for you. Canada still has a steady decline and a high need for talent. So there are opportunities that you can look for in Canada and the UK right now, particularly if you're under 35. And I certainly know that there's one coming up in Nigeria very, very soon, where they are even looking to fund Nigerian students who want to come study in Canada.
Okay. So now let's talk about visa processes.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, don't use agent. they will mess you up. I have to use that word, I apologize. But tell us what are the practical challenges when you're applying for a visa for someone? What do you encounter? Is it better to use an agent or they can, apply for themselves?
All right, so I guess this is usually the time that people will plug themselves in and say, obviously, Google me, I'm a trusted this and
check
that.
Who I am.
Yeah, you check who I am, King of Japa on all platforms, deliver education. But you see, the reality here is that one of our big problems in Nigeria is that certain sectors are not regulated, right? You've got doctors who have to spend, I think, 7 years in school, 2 years housemanship, NYSC. They spend like 11, 12 years, right? And they are heavily regulated, right? Even if we don't think it's as good because we see a lot of medical cases. But the problem is that in our own industry, there's no regulation, right? And honestly, it's probably time that the Minister of Education and the Minister of Foreign Affairs probably look into this. Now, so the problem is that you have a lot of what you call quack agents, right? And I call my business a bread and butter business, which means that anybody can do it. And when anybody can do something and there's no NAFDAC to regulate who is producing bread, then you have a lot of issues with agents, right? Now, usually what also happens is that because my brothers and sisters are eager to leave the country, any small thing that they tell you on social media or any small lie, they say, madam, don't worry, just trust us, money back guaranteed, all those kind of things. Then people drop their monies and then you've got 1 visa denial, 2 visa denials, 3 visa denials. And that's really the big problem. Now, the other reality you must understand is that you're looking to go to a country that is much more advanced than you, and you are providing 3-4 documents to be able to ascertain that you qualify to get this visa. A visa is a document that says, grant me access into your country. And then the visa officer is basically saying, tell me who you are, tell me what you do, tell me that I can trust you. And then already from a Nigeria, whereby we cannot ascertain certain documents are true. We can't verify that you actually went to school for WAEC or undergrad, right? We don't know that your job is very, very legitimate. Until the former President Buhari's DG of CAC, you couldn't even verify your CAC records. I've had that issue before, where you cannot say, oh, this person actually has this company. But in his own time, they sort of digitized the whole platform, so now embassies can go verify that, oh, this company is actually active, this is where they are, they are paying their tax and annual returns. And even that is not reassuring for them. So usually the problem that we have is that people cannot provide the right documentation. And for you to provide the right documentation, sometimes you need to have the right counsel, or you do your research.
Now you are struck a curve. Now let's do this.
So
you're talking about right documents.
Yeah.
I can give you so many instances with visa. Let me start with one. A friend of mine got a grant and sponsorship to go to film school, and then she applied. Like literally, I was there when she wrote the exam. They denied her. I said, with even your scholarship passport, what's going on?
So what those schools would do now, since I don't know when your friend did that, is that they would also guide you. Now, those schools now have a visa section that will specialize in how to guide you, because it's not enough for you to get the grant. Our people here we've so spoiled the system that even when you get the grant, they are still skeptical.
Okay, so that's one. What about someone else who, she wanted to go for a course in America and she paid her school fees complete. I know that when you apply, they'll tell you there's a certain amount. She paid complete, and the question they ask her is, why do you pay complete? If you have so much money, why are you traveling? Kini.
So what we found, and the other reality, the truth in the last 10, 15 years that I've been in this business is that it does seem like they single us out. So sometimes it's like, but people will say, not the way you go do, they go deny you. No, I'm not kidding. I've been to the US Embassy before, and maybe there were 100 people before me. And I think that day, they only gave like 8 or 9 of us.
Oh my God.
Everybody was
see, everyone inside. I am scarred. Like.
So it does happen. You make small mistakes. You don't follow the right process. So let me give you an example, like I said, with Education USA. When you want to go to the US, it's always best to go through partners and platforms that have an insight into the embassy.
Okay, so for someone, what would be your advice for someone who has been refused multiple times with travel history, no overstay, legit work, everything? How would you advise that person?
Send me a DM. Reach out to Live Education or Japa Partners. Send me a DM. But the reality is that the first thing that I really hope the person would have is that when you've been denied visas, do you have all the documents that you use? Right? I've had some visa denials before where I did not realize that somebody who I paid to do something, either a lawyer, did not get it done for me. And then when they went to verify, it looks like I told a lie. And you are lucky if they don't even ban you. So sometimes when you're applying for your visa, the laissez-faire attitude of, oh, I'm too busy, I can't follow through, I cannot review, is partly why you get denied. I've had people who said that an agent used another person's information for their information and then they got denied. And sometimes you get banned. Another thing is that you trust somebody with your bank statement. The person uses your bank statement for other customers'
My
work.
God.
And so the embassy is wondering, you use it for Chinonsu, you use it for Dio, and they use it for Annabelle. How come? Are you related to all of them? And those are the issues when you obviously use what we call quack agents, right?
Right.
And so you want to make sure that you're taking a look at all the documentation. You are hand in hand with your agent. You ask questions because you paid for a service, right? And so you have the right to ask questions and make sure that the person actually, is doing the right thing. And I would obviously add that, thank God for technology, you have ChatGPT. You can verify a lot of what the agent even tells you.
Yeah.
Just don't pay 500,000 naira, 1 million, and then you get scammed and you get denied.
So I think my last question would be, what are the prices for visas? Because don't you think there should be a policy where you pay for visa, they don't give you, they should refund your money back?
In our business, we say it's one of the biggest shams because when you pay $150 for a Canadian visa and they deny 100,000 students, you're like, oh, these guys are really
if you start doing the
out.
calculation, I think that's why I think the Philippines visa, before they collect your money,
they will let you know.
They will let you know if they will give you. So you know that your money is like, you can sleep. But US, UK, you just pay express, deny.
So let me paint a different. Let me paint a different scenario for you. And
okay.
Honestly, I'm going to use Canada because I have something coming for Canada next week in Lagos, right?
Okay.
Where some of the partners are coming from Canada.
Okay.
Now, when you do $150 times 100,000 people, for instance, you need to understand that the Philippines does not get as much visa traction as Canada does. So the Canadian embassy probably processes 2 million Nigerian visas a year. I don't know if the Philippines processes 100,000. Now, those guys in the Canadian embassy are going to do the work. They're going to verify documents. Now, the other thing is that they will pay salaries, right? Now, when your people go there, the ones who say they were going to school and don't have money, then begin to seek asylum. And the asylum date is 5 years from now. Sometimes this is the cost of doing business because the embassy is going to be responsible for these people or the Canadian government when they are there. Right. So it's a balance. I understand what people say when they say, oh, return our money if we're going to get denied. But then let's also be very, very frank. The chances that you will get denied if you have the right documents are pretty slim. Or if you even understand the terrain. Like I said, visa policies are tied to governments and elections. So when you see that the country is not accepting you, just chill, stay in your country or find somewhere else to go.
Let us chill. Well, Oladipo, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
This was an amazing conversation because, visa people, we have a little beef with them. But like you said, we have to all go through the right process, make sure that your documents are complete, be honest. And if it's not your time to travel, it's not your time to travel.
Yeah.
Well, guys, you've had it. When you want to apply for visa, check very well and pray.
And send him
a DM. If you're meant to travel, you will. But that is the end of that conversation. Let's go on a quick break. When we return, we continue Breakfast Extra. Stay with us.
Good morning again and welcome. These are the headlines. Now, the headline begins with security matters. The presidency has dismissed claims that insecurity in Nigeria is driven by religious targeting, insisting that the violence affects people of all faiths and should not be described as a religious war. The senior special assistant to the president on chieftaincy matters, Abba Tijani Hashim, made this known during a meeting with the Methodist Archbishop of Anambra, Most Reverend Vincent Ono. The engagement is part of ongoing engagements between the federal government and religious leaders aimed at promoting peace and national unity. And to judicial matters, the former Attorney General Abubakar Malami has accused the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and Department of State Services of blocking his fair hearing rights. Malami, who served under President Buhari from 2015 to 2023, says he was denied access to his lawyer for 5 days after his arrest, despite being granted bail with passport surrender conditions. His aide claims the delay extended Malami's detention and violated his fundamental rights. Meanwhile, prosecutors are seeking interim forfeiture of assets linked to alleged financial misconduct, a probe that has drawn nationwide attention. Now to politics. Former governor of Kano State and the 2023 presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, Rabiu Kwankwaso, has declared that he is not for sale. This follows the exit of Kano State Governor Abba Yusuf from the party. Kwankwaso made the statement on Friday while addressing supporters shortly after Yusuf officially resigned from the NNPP, saying he remains committed to his political belief and wouldn't abandon his principles for personal beliefs or personal benefit. Meanwhile, the NNPP has described the resignation and defection of Kano State Governor Abba Yusuf as a betrayal, expressing shock and disappointment over his decision to leave the party. In the meantime, some Kwankwasia youth group in Kano State have expressed the desire to be politically aligned with Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf, who dumped the New Nigeria People Party on Friday. Governor Yusuf cited deepening internal crisis and persistent leadership disputes within the party as his main reason for leaving. Yusuf conveyed his resignation in a letter addressed to the chairman of the NNPP in Diso Chiranchi Ward, Gwale local government area, effective January 25, 2026. Speaking during a youth engagement forum in Kano on Saturday, the Kwankwasia group promised to align with Governor Yusuf in his administration addresses what they describe as marginalization and lack of inclusion in governance. The wife of Ugandan opposition leader Bobi Wine has accused armed men of raiding her home overnight. She described the raid as an attempt to intimidate her and force her husband to reveal his whereabouts. Speaking to journalists from her hospital bed in Kampala, Barbara Itungu said men stormed their home while heavily armed during the night, leaving them traumatized. Barbara said the men were searching for Bobi Wine, whose real name is Robert Kyungwalanyi, a longtime critic of President Yoweri Museveni's government. There has been no comment from Ugandan security agencies since the allegation. Africa is no longer facing a regional public health emergency over Mpox. That's according to the head of the Africa Center of Disease Control and Prevention. Speaking in Addis Ababa, CDC Director Jean Kaseya said the virus remains endemic in some areas but no longer poses an emergency level threat. The decision followed improved detection, treatment, and a rollout of more than 5 million Mpox vaccines across 16 countries. Health officials say confirmed cases dropped by 60% in 2025, while deaths fell sharply. The World Health Organization lifted its global Mpox emergency last year. And that's all the news this hour. Do stay tuned. We've got one more hour left inside of Breakfast Extra and more conversations coming your way. Stay tuned. We'll be back.
Welcome back. Now for our Focus Africa segment today, we turn to a development with global reach. The United States has officially exited the World Health Organization after nearly 8 decades of membership. This follows a process that began with an executive order in January 2025 under President Donald Trump and formally took effect in early 2026. The U.S. was historically the largest single contributor to the WHO, accounting for roughly 18% of its budget, and played a central role in funding disease surveillance, vaccine coordination, outbreak response, and emergency health programs around the world. Critics warn that this withdrawal not only weakens global cooperation, but may also disrupt the ability of countries, including many in Africa, to respond to health emergencies, track infectious disease trends, and deliver critical immunization and maternal health services.
With us now to unpack what this means for global health security and Africa's public health system is Alexander Van Rugen, who is a global affairs policy analyst. Good morning, Alexander. Good to have you here. And
good morning.
I also have to welcome Isaac Einstein, who is always joining you each time we come to you. And I mean the painting behind you. It's such a bold one. But thank you for joining us, Alexander. Alexander, please help us understand why the U.S. exit from the WHO matters so much, not just from the global health perspective, but specifically for African countries.
Well, the entire process that's going on right now with President Trump, you've heard him recently at his speech at Davos, and you've heard his rhetoric in terms of the rest of the globe and changing American policy to American first. When it applies to the WHO in Africa, it's not that he's abandoned that America has abandoned Africa in terms of support. He's just looking at the institution as being prone to serve self-interest and not align with America First policies. He's basically adopting the Department of Government efficiency handbook to say adapt, shrink, or die. If America's going to supply money, let's make sure that it aligns with American values, and that it's not wasteful, it's not mismanaged, it's not corrupt. That's the message they're sending.
Right.
So you see this also with the new formed Board of Peace in Gaza. He's taking the mandates and the operations of the UN that he feels have been mismanaged and inefficient, and he's restructuring a parallel universe to what the UN did. And I think he's going to target, specific applications where mismanagement is resulted in just nothingness. It hasn't solved the problem. And he wants to show the world that he can pursue peace and pursue more efficiency.
Right.
I don't think he's going to abandon Africa. In fact, there's a one-on-one policy that's been negotiated with Nigeria in particular now, because America, as you know, is working with Nigeria on their security problems. Nigeria is taking in America as an ally. They're probably going to build a new base for military operations in Nigeria.
And I think the second shoe just dropped there. At what price? Why is security the one thing that he is more focused on? Health is more. It's equally as important now, isn't it? I'm wondering, Alexander.
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, if you look at the 66 global organizations Trump is backing out of, global warming, he doesn't believe in it. He thinks it's a farce. He's maintained the key UN objectives, which are international calibration for marine, for aerial, for UNICEF is staying intact. He's not abandoning everything. He's basically walking away from what he calls woke agendas that the party in America, the Republican Party, doesn't agree with. But he's not walking away from everything.
Okay.
And he'd prefer to deal with countries on a one-on-one basis rather in generalities. And he's going to deal and focus on countries that are aligned with the U.S. That's happening right now in Nigeria. So I don't think
Okay,
If there's a fear,
so nothing goes for nothing, and I'm wondering
immediate shutdown.
So with what you've just said, then that means there must be specific interest in Nigeria. What is that specific interest? Is something that I've been trying to put my finger on. If his focus is on security and trying to help Nigeria be secure, you've just mentioned the word base. But to what end and why? We understand the Greenland instance, why he wants it. It's for the benefit of securing America and keeping that out of the hands of either the Chinese or Russia. Why the specific interest in Nigeria when it comes to security and not health?
Well, I didn't say it wasn't with health. I just said he wants to deal with countries on a one-on-one basis that are aligned with America. So, for example, you have countries that are diametrically opposed to America. They're off the list. I can give you the list in Africa right now that includes Botswana, Cameroon, Eswatini, Ethiopia, Ivory Coast, Kenya, Lesotho, Liberia, Malawi, Mozambique, Nigeria, Rwanda, Sierra Leone, Uganda, and Zambia. They've all cut deals one-on-one with America.
All right. Interesting. I'll have further questions on that. I'm just going to do a research on all of those countries now and find out exactly what ties them together. Queen.
Well, Alexander, the experts were talking about disease surveillance and outbreak preparedness, that it could weaken without the U.S. participation. But of course, now you said that the U.S. is having individual conversations with countries. Do you suggest or do you believe that these conversations that the U.S. is having with different countries would turn out to be good in a short period of time before any pandemic or any warning system happens?
That's of course a global concern, and Trump just feels the WHO has not been aligned with American interests. In fact, since inception, they've never had an American chief executive officer running the WHO. That's an issue Trump has in terms of management. In terms of hands-on financial management, as you've indicated earlier, the Americans have contributed about 18% of the operating budget of the WHO. The Europeans contribute totally, as the EU, about 33%. First of all, this doesn't mean that the WHO is collapsing. It's a wake-up call. It's get organized, be efficient, stop wasting money. That's the message he's sending. He didn't say America wouldn't work with the WHO, but he feels they can do certain things better and more efficiently working one-on-one with various countries. And those that don't align themselves with America, they're off the list. He's very blunt about it. I have to admit his bedside manner is not always what people would appreciate. He's thrown the usual diplomacy out the window. He's very blunt about it.
Right.
And it instills fear in people. But I think we've got to let common sense prevail. If there's something that affects the world from a pandemic perspective, I think America's got a lot to lose. So for America to abandon it would be insane. They're restructuring things. They're reorganizing.
Right.
They're making it efficient. The biggest fear is probably with corrupt officials that have been pocketing money from the WHO because they're going to be exposed.
So Alexander, you've talked about how this is just a plan to make sure that the WHO is accountable as to how they are spending money and what they're doing for the world in general. So would you say that, the way Trump is handling this and his intention behind this is something people should look at based on the way he's handling other situations, whether it's insecurity or the Venezuelan situation or the Greenland or Nigeria? What's your take on that?
Well, let's not compare the Western Hemisphere with Africa. Africa is a distinct and separate entity. I have my theories of what the future of Africa has to bear. I mean, I have a concern that if World War III is going to be fought, it'll be fought in Africa. That's a real concern Africans have to have. I mean, right now you've got 41 conflicts going on in Africa, the most anywhere in the world. Okay, and a lot of them are proxy wars from the majors, and primarily over resources in Africa. Okay, I would hope that humanitarian objectives will be adhered to, and Africa will be respected for its sovereignty as well. What's going on in Nigeria? You mentioned earlier. There seems to always be a fear of sovereignty being invaded and control. I have no fears that American objectives are of a colonial type management intent here. I think America wants to take advantage of relationships in Africa. But Trump has advocated trade over aid, meaning if we're going to go and spend money and donate money and give benefits to Africa, we want to know we're getting benefits in return. It's called business, okay? And if people find that offensive, let them go out and find other alternatives that aren't the same. You know, Trump's agenda dictates that aid equates with support that never brings Africa out of the hole, and trade doesn't do that. But trade has to be fair on both sides, especially for the Africans. If they're going to cut a deal, let it not be one-sided, but if you cut a deal, make it be honest. We all know institutionalized corruption is a problem. It tends to convolute things with aid, whereas if it's a direct one-on-one arrangement with America, I think you're going to find they've adopted this Department of Government Efficiency type playbook where it's not as one-sided.
Yeah.
It's efficient,
Okay.
and they're going to expose the corruption more and more. I think that's it's more effective use of money that is being put up.
Alexander, I've done a little bit of research and I found what links these countries that you mentioned together, but I'm going to save that as my last question since we're still talking about the U.S. exit and from WHO and how it affects Africa. Nigeria in particular, this question here. Since the WHO is instrumental when it comes to vaccination campaigns, maternal and child health programs, and also health workers training, I'm wondering, with this brings budget shortfalls. No budget, that means things are going to have to change. Services, for instance. So for Africa now, which services are most likely to change? What are the risks here with these budget cuts?
Well, I mean, if you look at what part of the UN that Trump has attacked in terms of not supporting its diversity and inclusion, women's empowerment, gender modifications, you know, basically woke agendas in terms of security, in terms of UNICEF, in terms of refugee displacement, those commitments are all in place with America. These are things that affect America directly. Trump's attacking inefficient divisions of the UN and other NGOs in what U.S. was providing funds for in USAID being shut down and don't align with the American agenda. Nigeria is working with America. They're working on security right now. There's I think a very good relationship forming here.
Yeah, and that's the interesting bit. He's working with Nigeria on security. He's working with other countries, like the ones you've mentioned, that have maritime security strategic interests that he has interest in counterterrorism, migration control. We've seen that with his conversations with certain African leaders. But it also seems that he bypasses the AU each time he's having these leader-to-leader conversations. And I'm wondering what you think about his, how he sees the AU, or what his thoughts are on the AU. Why bypass the AU to speak to these leaders directly? Doesn't that kind of like tell us his respect for the African Union, just like we've seen him exit the WHO?
Well, he's treating the AU much like he treats the UN.
Exactly.
He feels they're plagued with bureaucracy. They have self-serving interests. They don't get things done. Look at the AU security alliance, or with ECOWAS, in fixing the problems in Nigeria. America's sent $7.8 billion since 2014 to have a rapid response team in ECOWAS to deal with insurgency, banditry, religious fundamentalists.
Okay.
All they can agree is not to agree. It's like dealing with a church committee. They just don't get anything done. So
this is obvious, and it seems that the AU hasn't noticed, or maybe they have, but they're saying nothing. And I'm wondering what that does for the collective African unity. Is this exposing us as not a united continent?
it's exposing Africa as just not being unified, not being able to govern itself because of those varied interests, self-interest. I mean, here's the best example.
Okay.
ECOWAS doesn't recognize countries that have had coups. You've had three major coups on your borders: Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. All of those countries left their, the coups were done because of lack of protection of their citizens against insurgency. They've kicked out the French because the French were there to protect them, allegedly, as former colonialists, and they weren't doing their job either. So they have a common enemy with Nigeria. Nigeria has a problem with porous borders, and you've got insurgents crossing that border, whether it's Boko Haram or the Islamic groups that are using Islam as a kind of a false robe for banditry. Okay, when you have a common enemy, why don't you work together to solve the problem? But they can't, because they can't acknowledge them because of their removal from ECOWAS.
Right.
You know, this is right out of the Art of War. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Right.
Work together, solve the problem. You know, bridge the political gaps that may be there.
Right. While we're talking about unity, some U.S. states like California has opted to join or remain with the WHO. What's your take on that?
Well, America is dissected with Democrats and Republicans right now. They have their own battles.
So I guess they're not as united as they claim. If Africa is not united, then America itself as a country is not united as well.
Well, do not as I do as I say. You know,
exactly.
And let he is without guilt cast the first stone, as the Bible says.
Catch-22.
Well, but the thing is, Trump does lead the country. He makes the decisions on behalf of the country. We can all, criticize the internal workings that are going on in America, but those secular workings are really democracy in play. Whereas Africa has its own set of problems and things to deal with, and you can't compare the two. Africa is very unique. And anyone that comes in and tries to dictate terms in Africa without understanding the demographics of the regions, the people, the culture, shouldn't be doing that job. You know, that they're going to be culturally disrespectful, and that's not going to help anyone. It's going to have people take offense. You know, look at Nigeria. You're about 54% Muslim, 45% Christian. Why do they keep playing the broken record of Christian genocide? Stop it. Don't make it secular. You have banditry targeting Nigerians, Muslims, and Christians. Fix the problem. Stop arguing over whether it's religious or not. The bottom line is that doesn't make the bandits go away. You've got moderate Muslim leaders that have been killed, more so than Christian missionaries. It's a problem.
Well, it's
Let's
not our
let's
narrative,
fix the problem.
Alexander. It's not our narrative, Alexander. It's a narrative that was designed for us by the U.S. president himself. But we must...
I agree, but I think Nigerians are intelligent. They can see through the rhetoric.
Indeed
they know
we
they
are.
have a problem.
Indeed we are. And we can see exactly what's happening here with these bilateral relationships and conversations happening with the different countries. We can pick and we know exactly what the details are behind the curtains. Alexander, thank you very much for joining us to have this conversation here. And we will always, as usual, come back to you when it has to do with geopolitics and the interest of Africa inside of these many happenings around the world. Thank you very much, Alexander.
Always happy to help. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Stay tuned. We have one final conversation here inside of Breakfast Extra, and it will be a weekend. We'll be right back.
Nestled in the heart of Katsina State, the Katsina Youth Craft Village has been a hub of skill development and youth empowerment for nearly 2 decades. Since its founding, it has trained thousands of youth in vocational skills, helping them become self-reliant. Established in 2009 by the Katsina State government, the school has trained over 470,000 students, transforming lives and boosting the local economy. However, recent reforms have left many of its founding staff uncertain about their future, as the state has failed to regularize their employment and putting jobs at risk. Our correspondent, Rukai Jibir, files this report.
Nabila Shehu spent more than a decade teaching skills at the Katsina Youth Craft Village. For over 15 years, she has been a vital part of this community, training youths in craft and transforming many lives. Her work has helped countless students develop skills that is helping intending for their families and livelihood. However, Nabila is now sick, helpless, and without a job.
Gwamnati ta gama amfani da mu ta ajiye mu gefe guda. Sun ce suna son su ba wasu wuri su ma su samu. Amma ko da suka ce haka, mu din ya suke sami mu ma 'yan ƙasa ne, kuma 'yan jihar Katsina ne. Kuma mun ba da gudunmuwa mafi girma a cikin garin nan da kewayenta. Ina ganin ba mu cancanci a yi irin wannan sallamar ba da suka yi manta mu je kawai an gama da mu.
Suna daga cikin malamai mafi kwazo a lokacin HOD mu ma ita ce malama ta farko da ta fara nemo wa ɗalibanta excursion zuwa wani guri domin su je su koyi wani abu na daban wanda ba a san da shi ba.
Despite her dedication and qualification, Nabila is among many teachers recently laid off by a new management put in place by the state government. The new management says that it only wants to retain teachers with higher qualification in a bid to reposition the school. This, however, has left many among the school teaching staff confused and disillusioned.
Ina da NCE kuma ina da certificate din shi kan shi craft village na farko saboda mu ne muka fara daga farko muka bude school din.
Actually, I don't know what type of leaders we have in this country. because a situation whereby you employed or someone employed somebody, whether on casual, whether on permanent, on whatever basis, that particular person is depending on that work or on that job, feeding his children. But one day to come and say you want to sack him without any alternative, this is very unfortunate.
While the school maintains that it aims to meet modern standards and obtain accreditation from the National Board for Technical Education, the process has led to upheaval as the school is set to abandon many of its founding teaching staff.
Ba wani takarda, ba wani bayani, ba wani abu. Matsalar ma koran ma sai da aka yi hutu. Mun muna tunanin za mu samu albashi na gaba kawai sai muka je kawai an sallame mu. Ba mu san dalili ba, mu san hawa, ba mu san sauka ba. Inda ni yanzu ga albashi na naira 15,000 ne. Shekara ta 4 ina aiki. Uwata ban da mahaifi. Uwa mahaifiyata wadda duniya take. Ina da 'ya'ya 7. Gidan haya nake.
Gogewa ta aiki, practical. Ni na san babu wanda nake ji a cikin KYCB. Yanzu na sha a kawo ma yaro wanda bai san A bai san B ba. Amma cikin ikon Allah mukan koya mashi abu ya yi shi practical. A taimaka a maido malaman KYCB.
Many experienced teachers who have contributed immensely to the school's success, like Nabila, are set to find themselves without jobs.
These days we are talking about skills, not certificate. But at this moment that you are sending these people up without any.
Well, welcome back. We now have our correspondent Rukaya Jubia join us, and hopefully we'll be able to be joined by Habibu Ruma, who's also the chairman for Struggle for Good Governance. Rukaya, good morning, and thank you for joining us. Can you walk us through, we've seen the report, but can you walk us through what you observed and how the staff is reacting to, of course, the possibility of losing their jobs, and what communication has come from the government?
Okay, the staff are devastated. They don't even know where to start because, as you can see, these are people who rely solely on this job. One. And then number 2, from their salary, just like the other one that mentioned that his salary is just 15,000 naira, and Nabila told me her salary is 28,000 naira.
Oh.
So since from the salary, you will understand that these people are already struggling. So now without the job and with family issues, more especially Nabila that is sick, you know that now their struggle has added. So that is one. And when I spoke to the coordinator for the Youth Craft Village, I tried to make him understand, even though he denied a video interview, but we spoke at length with him. He said these people, he can't retain them because one, they are on casual basis. His argument was they are on casual basis and they can be laid off at any time. And he's not feeling any remorse, he's not feeling any regret. And his second point was these people are not educated, and so he can't keep them because he needs educated staff. And I asked him, the school is based on skills acquisition. So do you really need an educated person to teach skills? So far that person is an expert in what he does, do you still need an educated person? He said, yes, he does. And surprisingly, Nabila has an NCE, Mubarak has a diploma, and the same staff he employed, most of them have NCE or diploma. So I couldn't just wrap my head around what happened to these people, actually.
Now, Habibu, thank you for joining us. And I think, she has mentioned, these disturbing facts. But, if the school is saying they have trained 470,000 students within 16 years since they opened in 2009, that means they had about 29,000 people that they've trained in a year. What would you say the reason is for the government to not to follow through this development and allowing, these people to lose their jobs, having, invested 16 years in training people?
These days, I don't know the type of leaders we are blessed with, because in Nigeria, you can see how our leaders are behaving, especially these politicians. A person that stayed for over 15 years or 17 years working with an organization, whether on casual basis, whether on permanent basis, at least this person it has already become a family to that system. And there is no way you can say one day you disengage him and you think even you yourself, you can feel comfortable. So actually, today we are blessed with people that they don't have sympathy over their people that they are governed. They don't look for future. Because I believe there must be a reason for doing that, which one of the reasons, because our politicians of this state, maybe they want to bring their people close, their close people to the organization that they found themselves, because they want to help them. So if you think that you are doing this because you want to use your people, you want to employ people that what do you expect if another person came to that, or if another person come to that organization as a leader? Because yesterday you are not there, and today you are there. Tomorrow you will not be there. What do you expect the picture of that people that you are bringing up into that organization? Actually, this is uncalled for. This is inhuman, and this is not even allowed with democratic principles. And a democratic government is not even expected to be behaving in this way. So actually, we are calling on them to look on their decisions, to change it with immediately, because it's not in line with the democratic principles, and they are not helping the matters. Katsina is being seriously disturbed with insecurity, which is closely related with the issue of lack of employment. So many people are not employed, and this institution we are talking about is a skill-based institution. So you cannot just disengage them like that. And when we said, and look at even their position in that place, they are instructors, or they are people that are training other people. So meaning that they have already have the skills. They have already have the skills to them. If the government, they said they are no longer in service. Sir.
Habibu, maybe you can quantify exactly the contributions of this skills center to Katsina first. Let's know exactly how this contributes to the well-being of the state. How do the people also view it? Is it a respected institution? And what are the people saying now that these matters of unemployment or letting people go has come up?
A lot of people, as you have rightly said in the introduction, that over 400,000 people has been employed as a result of that organization. So actually, the impact of that organization is beyond.
Are they employed by the state after they have acquired skills?
You said?
Are they employed by the state after they've acquired these skills from the institution?
You mean the staff? Or yes. You mean the student, the trust student?
The students, yes.
No, they are not being employed by the state. Mm-hmm. They are employed by individuals and people that has their need, that has the need of their skills because of the nature of what they are training. Mm-hmm. They train people on mechanic, on repairs of phone and computers, something like that. So it's not people. It's not all the people that can be accommodated by government. So government do employ maybe if they like, but the reality is the majority of the people employed there is by the individuals and like minds that they need their services.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now the state, have they given a specific reason for why they are going about or why they intend to let these individuals go? Is it a funding crisis or is it something else? Have they indicated why?
They did not complain about the funding. What they are saying is upgradement. They want to upgrade the institution, the schools, into a more formal organization that is giving certificate to their student, to their graduate, so that the people they graduated from the school. That is their argument. But what they are saying, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to employ, or whatever you want to give to the student that graduate from the institution, those people that have made their contribution for over 10 years or 17 years, it's not supposed to go in vain. these people have served for a longer period of time, and you are talking about skills, and these people, they already have the skills. Even you are no longer interested in the services being, they are a casual staff. You employ them, you give them the what they require to go up for practice, because they are already experts since they can train other people. So they are already expert in their profession. What you need is just to give them the capital to go and depend on their own. But disengaging them just like that, you are just bringing problem to the state. You are just adding burden to the government and to the society at large.
Right. Rukayat, how long has this situation been going on before this was brought to the light, before you investigated? And have you been able to talk to any student that graduated from, from this school? What was their challenges, and how do they feel about the situation?
I think this happened just last month, and it was brought to my attention last week.
Okay.
So I spoke to many students, at least not less than 10 of them, and they were not happy. You can see some of them, they spoke in my report. They were not happy because they believe that some of the students, or let me say most of the students, are not even educated. They are not even educated. So all what they need is the skill. And I think that was the sole purpose of starting the acquisition center. Because, in Katsina, we have a large number of out-of-school children. So I think that is the main reason why Governor Shima put up that school. So the students were not happy at all. In my reports, you can hear them saying that their teachers are just like their parents. And they said whatever skill they need, those teachers teach them exactly what they need to know. There was a guy there, there was a student there, he was saying after the teacher taught him the local way, he will still go back and taught them how the latest way of learning the skill. So I think they have already done their own side of the bargain, I mean the teachers. So why then will they just decide to lay them off? When I asked the coordinator that, I said, but you proudly told me that 470,000 students graduated from this school, and all of them are trained in that particular skill that you want them to be trained. So he said, I think two of the schools, there is also a skill acquisition center in Katsina. The name is BTSA. He said the schools were merged by the governor, and there were a lot of employees. So he said you will see an employee who is in level 16 working for the state government, and then you will see a casual staff as a head of department who doesn't even have a primary school certificate. So he said he just can't wrap his head around that. So he has to just let the uneducated one go so that the level 16 staff can assume his position and his office.
Right. So look at these staff now that they're saying they want to let them go because they're uneducated. Are they planning to do a protest? Are they planning to write a petition or seek, redress to this situation? Because if they've given 16 years of their life into schools and, the students can, attest that they've learned a lot of skills, what are the next step with this?
That is why Mr. Ruma is here. They consulted him, and he is planning to write to the governor of Katsina State to let him know of what is happening. And then again, they are relying solely on me also. They said they want people to hear their stories so that maybe the story can reach the government. In any way possible, so that the governor can look into their issue. And I think after all that, if this is not possible, then they can go for protest.
Right.
Habibu, what would you like to see happen after now? What's your suggestion? What's your message to the state government?
My message to the state government is that they should sympathize with the people that spend over 15, 16, 17 years with this youth crab village, and to see how they can either employ them as a permanent staff or how they can give them what they required as the skills expert to go and depend on themselves. at our level, as the organization that struggle for good governance, we'll make sure that we don't leave the matter just go like that. We'll write to the state governor that this is what is happening in the center, and we need his intervention. And recently, we have done it several times. And the governor used to listen to the matters of concern. And I believe once the issue reaches him, actually, he will do something better. And these people, actually, they will get either they will be employed as the staff, or otherwise they will do something better for them, rather than just let them off as the staff that spent 15 years or 17 years in the center.
All right, then. Well, Habib, we want to say thank you very much for joining us to have this conversation. Rukayat, thank you very much for a great report.
It's always nice talking to you, Masina.
Always nice to see your reports here in Lagos. Grand. And that would be it.
Thank you, people.
And I guess that's it for us this weekend now, isn't it?
That is.
Absolutely.
Yay, we made it.
We made it indeed.
Through the bad communications and all, we made it.
I want to say thank you very much to our viewers who kept with us here all since yesterday. And do stay tuned all through the week, because coming up next will be the trio of Olive, Jonathan, and of course, Wingagbarua.
Yeah.
But we do have one small piece to leave you guys
Just
with.
a little one.
It's a little one, and it's called our Weekend Warrior. Do you want to begin?
Yes. And this morning's Weekend Warrior celebrates a story of grit, excellence, and trailblazing achievement. When we think of leadership on the global stage, we often look to presidents, CEOs, or innovators. But today, we honor someone who has worn the uniform and broken barriers in one of the world's most demanding professions, the military.
Meet Brigadier General Amanda Zubuike, the first Nigerian woman ever to attain the rank of Brigadier General in the United States Army. Her journey from South Nigeria to the heights of one of the world's most respected defense institutions is nothing short of extraordinary. Born in Nigeria and raised with a deep sense of service, Amanda's story began long before the stars on her U.S. Army uniform. After moving to the United States, she pursued her education with discipline and distinction, including graduating through the Army ROTC program, where leadership, resilience, and courage are, developed at every turn.
Her rise through the ranks was marked by assignments that tested her intellect, leadership, and character. From commanding troops in complex environments to shaping strategic operations at the highest levels of military planning, her promotion to Brigadier General is not just a personal milestone, it's a historic movement for Nigerians and African women around the world. In a world where representation still matters deeply, especially in fields like defense and security, Amanda's achievement sends a powerful message that excellence is forged through service, resilience, and unwavering commitment to purpose.
So her story is a reminder that the world warriors extend beyond battlefield. It lives in every person who pursues excellence in service to others, who rise through challenges and who open doors for those who come after. Today, we honor Brigadier General Amanda Azubuike, a leader, a pioneer, and a weekend warrior, whose footsteps inspire many more to rise. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That's our Weekend Warrior, and that's our show for this weekend. Until we come your way again next week from Saturday, it's goodbye from us here.